This morning, coming back from fishing, I wanted to show you my morning commute, the traffic, the rush hour traffic that I experienced this morning coming back from fishing. Recently, I was watching some speed archers, guys that shoot arrow after arrow at a very fast rate. So I thought I'd give it a try myself. Now I have archery experience, but certainly no archery experience in speed shooting. I'm going to start with one arrow knocked on the bow and the rest of the arrows in my quiver and see just how fast I can shoot 6 arrows. So here goes. A small piece of snakeskin left over from back in a bow, and I put it on the paddle of my one of my turkey calls. The other evening, I was reading something on one of the hunting forums on the internet, and the fella that had posted this had quoted a very famous deer hunter slash biologist, an expert in deer and hunting deer, and he was quoted, this expert was quoted as saying, in life, it doesn't matter how big your house is, it doesn't matter how much money you have, how much money you make, and it doesn't matter how many deer and big bucks you harvest. None of that really matters. The only thing that matters in life is your relationships with others, how you treat others. And deer hunting in general, can be a excellent opportunity to build relationships with others, family members, friends. But he warned everybody that hunting, especially deer hunting and big buck trophy hunting, can also taint some relationships, and can also cause problems with relationships. So there's a balance there. And in the end, when we're all up there at the pearly gates, you're going to be judged on your relationships with. Check out these pictures of a very cool old original log cabin that has been restored, refurbished. I wanted to share them with everybody. It is very cool, and I hope in the near future to get permission to get inside it and take some pictures inside and show it to everybody. But check out this cool cabin. Some of you may have noticed I got a brand new pair of bibs on, and now before you go thinking that I won the lottery or something like that and I got money to burn, or maybe YouTube started paying me checks for making all these videos, rest assured I did not win the lottery, and YouTube certainly hasn't paid me to make any videos, and that's okay. I don't do this to get paid by any means. I do it because I have fun doing it. And I saved up all my money, and I got myself a brand new pair of Liberty jeans. You might be wondering what this jug here on the wood pile is all about, and maybe you think it's some apple hard cider or something like that. Well, it's not, but there is an interesting story behind this jug here and why it's out here on the wood pile. Back in a few months back, I had attended a local Trappers Association rendezvous, and they had an auction, and I bid on, and I won a gallon of fox urine. And I had all sorts of plans for that fox urine. I was going to use it as a cover scent and also use it for some sets for trapping. Well, the last time I had a jug of fox urine, I put it in the refrigerator out in the workshop in the garage, and well, that did not end well. It did not end well at all. Even though it was in a sealed jug, the smell somehow got out of the jug, and I was in the doghouse for a little bit for that. So when I got this here jug, I said, well, I'm not gonna put it in the workshop refrigerator and then be in the doghouse. So I put it in the cabin, and I kind of forgot about it, to be perfectly honest. I had spent most of hunting season hunting out of that tent camp, and I had kind of forgotten I had this jug in the cabin. And we have had some, well, you wouldn't know it from today, but we've had some cold weather, and that jug froze inside the cabin, and when it froze, it expanded, and it leaked. And now now, my cabin smells like my refrigerator did a couple of years ago. So I'm not sure. Hopefully it dissipates some, and the fox quits scratching on the door every night to get in. So anyhow, if you got any scent laying around, be careful how you store it. Breaking news: Poverty Hill Pete, the world famous Poverty Hill Pete, who successfully for the past 2 years has predicted the length of winter 2 weeks prior to that old woodchuck. His predictions for 2023 is we're going to have at least 6 more weeks of winter. So don't put those snowshoes away just yet. I recently worked on 2 axes. Both of them have a neat story behind them. The first axe I found laying next door, or next to the workshop door, and a small boy's axe, rusty, and handle was in rough shape. Turned out that after I cleaned that one up, it was a plum axe, a nice axe, and I was actually originally going to replace the handle, but I was able to just scrape off the surface damage on the existing handle and salvage it. So that was cool. And that axe came from our friend Kevin over at Gobbler's Roost Adventures. He had discovered that axe at an antique shop. You can check out the video on his channel, and it cost a whopping $2. $2 for a vintage axe. I mean, how can you go wrong? It cleaned up good, and here's some pictures of it. The second axe with a story behind it, I've nicknamed this axe the Phoenix axe, and this is the 3rd time I've refurbished this axe. This axe was found on a job site that our friend Dino was working at, and it was buried, and it was the axe head was in just horrible condition. Very rusty. Who knows how long it was in the ground. He brought it home to show me. He showed it to me, and he said he was going to use it for a paperweight. And I asked him if I could take that axe home and see if I could refurbish it and get it back into a working axe. Well, I was able to do that. It took a lot of grinding and everything, but I was able to refurbish it, gave it back to Dino, and I recently worked on 2 axes. Both of them have a neat story behind them. The first axe I found laying next door, or next to the workshop door, and a small boy's axe, rusty, and handle was in rough shape. Turned out that after I cleaned that one up, it was a plum axe. A nice axe, and I was actually originally going to replace the handle, but I was able to just scrape off the surface damage on the existing handle and salvage it. So that was cool. And that axe came from our friend Kevin over at Gobbler's Roost Adventures. He had discovered that axe at an antique shop. You can check out the video on his channel, and it cost a whopping $2. $2 for a vintage axe. I mean, how can you go wrong? It cleaned up good, and here's some pictures of it. The second axe with a story behind it, I've nicknamed this axe the Phoenix axe, and this is the third time I've refurbished this axe. This axe was found on a job site that our friend Dino was working at, and it was buried, and it was the axe head was in just horrible condition. Very rusty. Who knows how long it was in the ground. He brought it home to show me. He showed it to me, and he said he was going to use it for a paperweight. And I asked him if I could take that axe home and see if I could refurbish it and get it back into a working axe. Well, I was able to do that. It took a lot of grinding and everything, but I was able to refurbish it. Gave it back to Dino, and he used it all the time. He's constantly splitting firewood with it or using it camping or whatever. And then he had it out in his maple sugar shack, and he had a fire. Unfortunately, he had a fire, and the axe was in the shack, and it burned, and the fire took the temper out of the steel, and he dug through the rubble, the ashes and everything, and he found that axe head, and he told me about it, and I said, give it back to me, let me see if I can get it back in usable shape. And of course the temper was gone on it because of the heat from the fire, but I was able to retemper it, clean it up, put a new handle on it, and I gave it back to him. So that's refurbished number 2 on the Phoenix. And like I said, he uses an axe all the time. He's constantly got fires in the fur shed, or camping, or splitting wood, or doing whatever. And I seen him the other day, and I looked at the axe and I said, hey, what happened here, you know? The handle had some damage on the handle. And he goes, hey, I lent the axe. I let somebody use the axe. Well, there's a lesson there. Don't ever let anybody touch your axe. Axe, that is. So anyhow, and whoever he had let use it wasn't real good with an axe and overstruck it and damaged the handle. And I told him, I said, you can't use this. I said, give it to me. Let me see what I can do. And today in the workshop, I replaced the handle. I got to get it back to him. But so that's refurbished number 3, 3 on the Phoenix axe. It's got a great history to it. God only knows where it began, whether it was used on an old farmstead or whatever. But it's got a great history to it, and I sharpened it up, put a new handle on it, and here's some pictures of that. A week ago, we had cold, wet, rain, snow, sleet, you name it, weather. And now, a few days later, we have temperatures up in the 60s and 70s. So the spring peepers, I call them the spring peepers. I don't know what the official name of them are, but the spring peepers are out, and they're making a racket, and I love it. Of course, next week it's supposed to drop back down and get cold again, and so I'm going to enjoy listening to the spring peepers today. It wouldn't be an Oddments video if I didn't have a shout out, and I want to give a shout out to Joe and Kevin for their successful turkey hunt. Very cool story. One of them did the calling and one of them did the shooting, and they harvested a gobbler using a antique 1800s muzzle loading shotgun. Very cool story, and you can see the whole video up on Kevin's YouTube channel, Gobbler's Roost Adventures. Here is this year's outdoor kitchen. I just got it set up the other day. The canvas dining fly was handmade by my late friend Richard Zawacki. You've heard of him in a lot of the videos. Very talented man, and he sewed up this dining fly. I think Richard would approve of this year's outdoor kitchen. Let me show you around a little bit. Got the Lodge cast iron grill here, and the Coleman stove, which I've adapted to propane, and new this year, is this hose that goes to a much larger propane tank, so I won't be changing them little tanks as often. Here's my cast iron griddle, cast iron frying pan, and the toaster, so I can have toast with my breakfast. Over here, we've got the dining room table. Now, this table is pretty cool. It was made by Hole in the Bow Chuck. Everybody knows Hole in the Bow Chuck from the videos. He makes all the primitive self bows. Well, it turns out Chuck also makes primitive camp furniture, and this little table folds all up. I like it quite a bit. And then I've got the rocking chair out, and lastly, for lighting, I've got Coleman lanterns. I once read something about weeds, or what us humans consider weeds, and it went something like this. A weed is a plant that man has not discovered a use for yet. So, and I also read another thing about the term weeds, and it went like this. Weeds are nature's success story. So this year I'm looking at maybe preserving more areas for weeds to grow. The other day, there's a knock on the door, and I go to the door, and it's my friend and neighbor Cheryl, and she's got something all wrapped up, got a cloth over it, you know, and she says, "Happy birthday," and she hands me this, and instead of a cake, she baked the most delicious sourdough bread, and it was warm right out of the oven, and let me tell you, it was fantastic. It was absolutely amazing. A tool that I've been using to clean old vintage fishing lures, an ultrasonic cleaner, and boy does it do a nice job. From the Journals of Lewis and Clark, Chapter 14, Reaching the Great Divide, August 1805. We set out very early this morning, but the track which we had pursued last evening soon disappeared. I therefore resolved to proceed to the narrow pass on the creek, about 10 miles west, in hopes that I should again find the Indian road at that place. Accordingly, I passed the river, which was about 12 yards wide and bared in several places entirely across by beaver dams, and proceeded through the level plain directly to the pass. I now set Drollard to keep near the creek to my right and Shields to my left, with orders to search for the road, which if they found, they were to notify me by placing a hat on the muzzle of their gun. I kept McNeil with me. How things have changed since the days of Lewis and Clark and the Corps of Discovery. Gene is a good guy, a good friend, and very generous. Gene had gifted me an item for my camp, for my primitive camp, and I wanted to gift him back something. So I painted this painting on an old carpenter's saw for Gene. Not only is Gene a carpenter, but Gene is also a reenactor. He has a beautiful teepee, and I thought he might get a kick out of the painting. What's for breakfast? We got eggs and bacon, home fries with fried onions. The Beaver, a magazine of the North. This particular one was from March of 1940. It was published quarterly by the Hudson Bay Company. And what struck me about this one here is the cover picture on the cover is just amazing. Got a fella shooting a bow there, and if you look close, he has snow goggles. Snow goggles, and it looks like possibly a perhaps a caribou jacket on. The birch tree, birch trees. Birch trees are one of my favorite trees. And let me tell you why. Birch trees are a wonderful resource in the forest. The mature birch trees produce a small seed which songbirds feed on. The smaller birch trees, the leaves of the smaller birch trees are used by deer for browse. The bark contains oils, can be used as a fire starter. It can be rendered into birch oil. The wood makes an excellent firewood. And birch trees can be tapped just like maple trees and produce birch syrup. So a birch tree, this one here happens to be a yellow birch tree, is one of my favorite trees in the forest. Another thing that I'm trying with the videos has nothing to do with cameras or anything like that. It has to do with myself and my public speaking. I've noticed, there I go, I did it again. I noticed that I use the word a lot, and there I go again. So I'm gonna try my best to limit the use of the word You heard of Johnny Appleseed? Well, I guess you could call me Brian Walnut Acorn. So, I will never see the shade from these trees I'm planting, but perhaps my grandson or his grandson may, and who knows, maybe they'll enjoy the trees that we're planting today. I'm glad everybody's here. I have been wanting to try this for several days now. I finished up my water wheel powered hot dog cooker, and I'm gonna try it out. I'm down here at the creek. I'm gonna see if it actually works. It's made out of all things that I found here in the forest. Got a branch that I cut a little sliver out of a branch, located the center, drilled it out as close as I could to center, measured it all the way around, and I took these little shoots off of some sort of a shrub. I don't know what exactly it was, some sort of bush, and it measured out perfectly all the way around, divided by 10. I've got 10 spokes to the wheel, and they're an inch apart. For paddles, I found a dead birch tree, and I peeled off some of the bark. And that's going to be the paddles. It's got the axle or whatever you want to call it, shaft. That's another shoot I found growing out here. And I put a counterweight on one side that will hopefully offset the weight of the hot dog, which will be on a rotisserie, a water-powered rotisserie, spinning, and will give us a perfectly cooked hot dog, hopefully, unless the water wheel self-destructs. Unfortunately, I never made it to the store to get any hot dogs, so today we're just going to give it a test. We're going to see if it works, and then next time I get to the store and get myself a package of hot dogs, we'll cook them up for everybody. So this will be in 2 forked sticks. It'll rest on 2 forked sticks that'll be stuck into the creek bottom. So let's give it a try. Well, as you can see, my water-powered hot dog cooker passed its first test. The water rotates it, and it almost looks like it rotates it at a pretty good speed, at least with the creek flow way it's flowing today. The next thing I'm going to have to work out is some sort of platform so I can build the fire above the water, and then I got to go to the store and get myself a package of hot dogs, and we're going to have a cookout. We're going to have a cookout down here right next to the creek, and that'll be a lot of fun. So I'm pretty happy that this thing actually worked and didn't self-destruct. You know, at the end of most of the videos, I use that saying, keep on trucking. And I want to remind everybody, especially remind myself, to keep on trucking no matter what. Sometimes it feels like you got a sign on your back that says, kick me, and everybody's giving you a hard time, and nothing's going right.